Hello, Tab Nation. It's your boy Tom, and today we are doing Python, specifically with UIA automation. UI automation. Um, so first thing you need to do is, well, before you can even code, you need to get the library for it, the module. So simply, you can just open command prompt. You're gonna type in pip install UI automation. Go ahead, press enter. I already have it, so it says requirement has already satisfied. But if you don't have this already installed, it will, run through all the downloading. It doesn't take too long, maybe a minute to do. And once that's done, you're good. You can close out your terminal and jump into the actual code. So I'm using VS Code in this one. You can use whatever IDE you want. Doesn't really matter. I just like using Python in here. HK I usually do in Notepad just because I like to keep them separate. I'm weird like that, but hey, to each his own. So first we need to go ahead and import what we just downloaded. So we're just doing import UI automation as auto. So we're saving that to be used later on throughout the script, as you can see right there. Highlight it. We're doing import time and import OS. You might need these, you might not. It really depends what you're doing. Import time is being used because I'm using sleeps throughout this script just to make sure stuff goes well. It doesn't get ahead of itself when something maybe takes an extra few seconds to load. And OS is going to be used for basically this right here is starting like the calculator. We're going to be using the calculator and Notepad in this example, but you can use it for other stuff too. Other programs. So yeah, first we're going to go ahead. We're just going to open the calculator. Like I said, some of this code you might not need or whatever, but we're going to do os.system, and in parentheses and in quotations, we're going to put start calculator. And I'm trying to see if I could zoom in here. Why can't I zoom in? Oh well. Anyway, we're going to sleep for 2 seconds. And that's just to make sure that it does fully launch. You can play around with this to get a little bit more accurate if your computer's a little bit slower, or if the program is much bigger than calculator. Obviously, calculator is going to launch pretty quickly. So I find that 2 seconds does perfectly fine. So now we want to interact with the calculator. So we can do that in... hold on, I'm trying to make this zoom in. And I forget how to do it in here. Oh, okay, that did something. There we go. Yeah, it looks better. A little bit better. Okay, anyway, sorry. So we're going to do the calculator window. We want to store that variable as auto.window control, and in quotations, or sorry, parentheses here, we're doing the class name, which is application frame window. Subname is calculator. Basically, okay, this just looks better, sorry. Where was I? So then what we want to do is we're going to let it wait 5 seconds to make sure it does exist, that it did actually launch up here properly. And once it does, we're going to do print, which is just going to print out the word calculator open. That's just kind of like checkpoints in our code here for a visual. It's good for error handling for something simple like this. Obviously, you probably don't want this, so delete that. And then we want to make that window, set it to active, which is calling upon up here and getting the information up here that we put in and saying active. Now it's active. We actually want to start interacting with this application. We want to start pressing buttons automatically. So we're going to do just some math here, because obviously it's calculator. We're going to do button 7. You can name them whatever you want because you're going to call them down here to actually perform the click. But we're doing calc window, button control because it is a button. Name equals 7. Name equals plus 3 and then equals. So we're doing 7 plus 3 and equals what it is. So this is defining what we're going to be clicking specifically. This is actually performing the clicks. Now, a big question here is, how do you get this information? How do you get the name of this or the ID, depending on what you want to do? There's really 2 ways to go about this. One is GitHub has a few different tools. This one I found that's pretty decent. I'll put that in the description below. And just download this real quick. It's a zip file. Unzip it. Launch the program. So once you get that, it looks like this right here. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. You get this little Windows Spy program. And we're going to jump back. Well, let's open Calculator so we can actually see it. There's a few ways to use this. You can use it by just simply navigating through all here, so we can push refresh to make sure it has Calculator. There's a lot of information here. So as you can see, application frame window is the class name. You can then dive farther into the stuff, whatever I'm saying, and just kind of explore that way. Another way you can do is you can just say this little red thing here called highlight select element. It obviously knows I'm looking at the calculator. But we can kind of play around with this. It's a little weird to get used to. You can push the play to actually see what you're clicking. So what would we say? 7 plus 3 equals. We'll go ahead and stop that. And it grabs a lot of the information here, but we're mostly looking just for where it says button. So 7 and plus, those are their names. Scroll around down here, and there's the button for 3. And there is the button for equals. So it has in quotations the name. Honestly, that way works good. This is really auto hotkeys. I did a video on this, but I find this a little bit more useful in how I like how clean it is. You can push start capturing and just hover over, so 7 for example. We can push Alt S to stop it, and we can see right there that the name is 7. I like this program a little better. It is technically for auto hotkeys, but it still gets the job done. I think it's cleaner. Check out that video on how to get that with the UIA for auto hotkeys, but hey, we can use it for what we need here. So as you see, I got that 7, that plus, the 3, the equals. We're clicking them all, yada yada. Pretty much easy. Then we can also grab data. So versus just pressing buttons, we can also a lot of times grab and pull data like the results that we're doing here. So we're doing result equals calc window text control, because it is a text box technically. And it does have an automation ID, which you can find from those programs, which is just calculator results. And we just want to pull the name of that. And then we're going to print it. Sorry, the syntax helper keeps popping up there. Print. It's going to show us what we need. What did I just do? There we go. So that way we can get the results, and it's going to show us which will 7 plus 3. It's going to be 10. So that's the calculator. Now we're going to move on to Notepad. Basically, for the most part, it's the same thing. We're instead of calculator, we're doing start Notepad. We're going to wait that 2 seconds to make sure it starts, and then we're going to start interacting. So we got to define how we're going to interact. So we're getting the class name here, which is just Notepad. Search depth is kind of how far it will go into searching the tree, basically. But since Notepad is pretty much the top level, 1 is fine. Depending on what you're doing, you might have to adjust this number to 2 or 3, but usually 1's going to cut it. Just to point that out, but that's like the search depth within to it. Doing an if function here. If the Notepad window exists, make sure it actually launched correctly. We want to set it to true for being on top, so that way it's it's being set as the active window. A lot of programs you do need it to be the active window, especially Chrome. There are a few programs where you can do control sends, but they're not very reliable. Not a lot of programs are going to let you. It's just kind of a security measure for whatever reason. And then here we're actually going to type instead. So instead of clicking, I want to show you how to type. We're going to be using the edit control inside that window, which is obviously the text area. Make sure it exists. And then we're going to do send keys. So it's just edit control. That's what we're targeting. And we're going to send keys, just basically mimicking typing. So the result of the calculation is, and then here we're using our variable that we grabbed from the calculator previously. And then if you want, you can always have it automatically close the windows, which I guess we don't really need. I'm fine with leaving it open, so I'm just going to delete that, save, and we should be good. All right, so now everything's pretty much good to go. You adjust it to whatever you want. You simply just need to run the code, and I'm not even pointing at the desktop. Oh, let me do that. So I'm glad that happened. So cd, change directory. We want to point it at the desktop just because that's where my script is saved. And now we can go ahead and run it with either Python, what did I call this, UIA.py, or you can always push, obviously, the play button up here for run. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. Automatically opens, and it sees it's moving the mouse for me, which is pretty cool. Did the calculations, grabbed that 10, and the result of the calculation is displayed is 10. So yeah, I did all that. Pretty simple. Also down here, as you can see in the terminal here, it did that print. Calculation result is 10. Calculator is open. Notepad opened. These are more like just checkpoints for visualization for the video. So obviously you don't really need the print things. You can always delete those. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you want me to expand on UIA specifically in Python, let me know what route you kind of want me to take, and hit the like button, hit 30. I'll definitely come up with some sort of idea on how to expand on this and all that. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe button. Every week I'm showing you different types of automation videos, and hope to see you around. Bye!